The engagement celebration was in full motion. The cozy event hall, strung with warm fairy lights and decorated with elegant flowers, was buzzing with laughter, glasses clinking, and guests chatting with excitement. It was meant to be a perfect evening, a night to honor the start of a new life with Emily, my fiancée. I wove my way through the crowd, shaking hands, accepting embraces, and nodding along to us congratulations. Everyone kept telling me how fortunate I was to have Emily, how stunning she looked, how she seemed to glow tonight. And they were right. Emily always managed to draw attention without even trying. Yet something about the evening felt wrong. Maybe it was the way she looked away when I tried to catch her eyes, or how her laughter came out a little too stiff, too practiced. Still, I smiled. I told myself it was nerves. Weddings bring pressure, expectations. Maybe she was just overwhelmed. I clung to that thought like a life raft. When the speeches began, I stood with my arm gently around her waist, but she flinched barely. But I noticed. Her body stiffened for a moment before relaxing into the expected pose. My stomach tightened, but I pushed the feeling aside. Not tonight. Tonight was supposed to be about love, not doubt. After the toast, I stepped away for some air. The room was getting too loud, too warm. I slipped onto the balcony, leaving behind the chatter and clinking glasses. The cool air hit me, refreshing and quiet, just what I needed. That's when I heard it. Muffled voices drifted from inside. I leaned slightly toward the glass doors without really thinking. Just voices. Until I recognized one, Emily's. She was talking to her best friend, Clara. Their tone was low, hushed. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I couldn't pull away either. She thinks I'm being distant, Emily said. I'm trying so hard to act happy, but I keep thinking, if Aaron hadn't left, Clara interrupted. Don't say that now. My chest went still. I'm just being honest, Emily whispered. If Aaron hadn't ended things, I never would have said yes to Daniel. He's safe, kind. He won't hurt me, but I don't love him the way I loved Aaron. The words hit like ice water down my back. Every muscle in my body locked. My breath caught. I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. I just stood there, barely breathing. As her voice, my future wife's voice, shattered the illusion I had built. Safe. That's what I was to her. A fallback. A second choice dressed up in tuxedo threads and borrowed vows. I backed away from the door before they noticed. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as I leaned against the railing. The laughter and music from inside felt distant now, like I was watching my own life from the outside. I didn't rush back in. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Not in the middle of a party full of people who had no idea the groom-to-be had just heard the confession that would rip his engagement to pieces. Instead, I stood quietly, staring into the night sky, the string lights reflecting in my glass. I told myself to breathe, one breath at a time. I wasn't going to fall apart. Not yet. I didn't know what I'd do next. But I knew one thing for sure. Whatever this night had started as, it wasn't going to end the same way. I didn't go back inside right away. I stayed on that balcony, watching strangers pass on the sidewalk below, wondering how many of them had ever stood in a suit meant for joy, only to feel betrayal dripping into their chests like poison inside. I could still hear their voices, Emily and Clara, just faint enough now to feel like ghosts, echoes of a conversation I shouldn't have heard. But I had, and there was no one hearing it. When I finally re-entered the room, I didn't go to her. I walked slowly through the crowd, nodding at people, letting them talk to me while I floated above it all. My heart still clenched from what I'd overheard. It was surreal. There she was, Emily, laughing now, champagne in hand, radiant in her dress. But now I could see it clearly. The performance, the tightness in her eyes, the way she never once looked for me in the crowd. She didn't need to. I was already where she'd placed me, on standby. The safety net. The man you settle for when the one you really want vanishes. I found myself drifting toward the bar. I needed something to anchor me. The bartender raised an eyebrow. Whiskey? He asked. I nodded, then added, make it a double. As I sipped the drink, the warmth hit my throat but did nothing for the coldness spreading in my chest. I glanced across the room again, and just for a second, Emily's gaze locked with mine. She smiled. That hurt more than I expected. She still smiled like I was the best thing that had ever happened to her. And maybe, in a way, I was. A safe bet. A clean record. A man who listened. Who loved deeply. Who didn't play games. But now I knew none of that was enough to be someone's first choice. Later, as the music played and the desserts were passed around, I found myself near the photo wall, the one filled with printed snapshots of us, vacations, birthdays, beach days, the weekend trip to the lake house. I remembered each one like it was yesterday, but now, staring at them, all I could see were the moments I was already second place and didn't know it. She'd been missing Aaron all along, maybe even comparing us. Maybe every kiss, every laugh, every I love you had a ghost standing just behind it. I didn't cry, but something deeper than tears stirred in my gut, a quiet devastation that made everything feel hollow. When Clara passed by, I caught her eye. She froze, then offered a tight, guilty smile. That told me everything I needed to know. She knew I'd heard. I nodded once, not to her, but to myself. I wasn't going to cause a scene. I wasn't going to scream or break things or make anyone else uncomfortable. No. I was going to do what Emily never expected from me. I was going to be honest, and I was going to be done. I walked slowly across the room, toward the stage where the band was playing. I didn't care if it was mid-song. I asked the lead singer for the mic. He hesitated. I gave him a look that made him step aside. "Hi," I said, my voice carrying across the room. The crowd hushed almost instantly. "Sorry to interrupt. I know this isn't part of the plan." Emily turned toward me from across the room, puzzled at first, then worried. "I just wanted to thank everyone for coming, for celebrating something beautiful." I paused. My throat tightened. I spotted Emily standing frozen near the dessert table, her face draining of color, and I especially want to thank my fiancée for being honest with her best friend, even if she didn't think I was listening. A stunned silence fell. Some people glanced at each other. Clara looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. She said. I swallowed. She said she never would have said yes to me if Aaron hadn't left. That I'm her safe option. Her backup. Gasped. Emily stepped forward, eyes wide. "Daniel, wait, can we just talk for a second?" "No," I said calmly. "You had your chance to talk to me instead. You told the truth when you thought I wasn't around." I looked around the room. "So I think it's only fair that I be honest too. I deserve someone who chooses me without hesitation, without a fallback plan. And since I'm clearly not that person for her," I reached into my pocket, pulled out the engagement ring, and set it gently on the edge of the cake table. "I'll save this for someone who means it." A murmur ran through the crowd. Emily's face crumbled. "Daniel, please don't do this like this." I nodded once, not to her, but to the man I'd nearly stopped being for her sake. I already did. And I walked away, the hall echoing with the silence that followed. I stepped into the night, the cold air wrapping round me like armor. Behind me, the doors to the hall stayed open just long enough for the noise to spill out. A few shocked voices, someone calling my name, Emily's voice cracking into a tearful plea. Then the doors swung closed, and it was just me alone. But not broken. I walked slowly down the stone steps, every footfall measured like I was walking away from a burning house I'd spent years building. The ring wasn't in my pocket anymore. The weight of it was gone, replaced by something heavier and sharper. Clarity. It didn't feel like victory. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff and realizing you've been living inches from the fall. This whole time, my phone buzzed in my jacket. I ignored it. It buzzed again and again. Voicemail from Emily. Text from Clara. "Daniel, please talk to her. She's a mess. She didn't mean it like that. Didn't mean it." People always say that after the knife's already in. For the next few days, I barely left my apartment. I told work I needed a few days off, personal emergency. Friends called, texted. Some didn't know what happened, only that the engagement was suddenly off. Others had been there, seen the moment unfold in front of them like something out of a movie. Emily called 17 times the next day. I didn't answer once. She showed up outside my door on the third day, mascara streaked down her face, a hoodie pulled over her head like she was trying to disappear. I didn't let her in, she sobbed. Something about how she didn't mean it, how she was just scared, how she loved me in her own way. But in her own way wasn't enough anymore. I didn't yell. I didn't even cry. I just told her the truth. You should be with the man you would have chosen first. And I should be with someone who doesn't hesitate. Then I closed the door. Weeks passed. The noise faded. The text slowed. Emily moved out of our shared place. She posted some vague caption online. Sometimes we lose what we thought was right to find what actually is. I didn't like it. I didn't care. I went back to the gym, started cooking again. I took weekend trips to places I always wanted to visit but never did because we were always saving for the wedding. Turns out, what I really needed saving from was the wedding itself. One evening, I found myself back on that same balcony, only now it was just mine. No music, no lights, just silence and a city skyline. I thought about that night often, not the betrayal, but the moment I chose to speak, the moment I chose me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad either. I was something better. I was free. And the next time I love someone, I'll make sure of one thing. They don't just choose me after someone else walks away. They choose me first. And I'll do the same.